Mr. Durham, in the summer of 2016, did our government receive intelligence that suggested Secretary Clinton had approved a plan to tie President Trump to Russia?
Yes.
Was that intelligence important enough for Director Brennan to go brief the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Attorney General of the United States, and the Director of the FBI?
Yes.
And was that intelligence put then into a memorandum, a referral memorandum?
Yes.
And was that memorandum then given to Director Comey and Agent Strzok?
That's who it was addressed to, yes.
So they were all involved in a vast left-wing conspiracy to undermine the President of the United States. And they lied to all of us and lied and lied and lied. And they lied to the FISA courts to get top secret warrants to spy on people, including a Naval Academy grad, Carter Page, who was working in concert with the Central Intelligence Agency. And by the way, they've exposed him. You know, you're going to expose sources and methods. Well, Carter Page was providing important information to the CIA on the QT, and the Democrats have exposed him. They make a big fuss about that when it works for them politically, but you know, then they want to expose somebody, a Naval Academy grad, naval officer, providing information to the CIA and patriotic American, and they've done everything they can to destroy him. The Democrat Party has, writ large, mainstream. That was an amazing moment, and I want to give Jim Jordan all the credit in the world for that, for teeing that up the way that he teed it up, and he ticked it off beautifully, I've got to say. And then John Durham responded very ably and capably and told the truth that they all knew John Brennan, penitentiary face Brennan at the CIA, the Communist Party voter, and Barack Obama, mentored by a member of the Communist Party, and Joe Biden, mentored by a sock puppet, and never got any better than that. And the FBI director, J. Edgar Comey, he was there. And this was the Oval Office briefing. Oh, no, here's what we found out. All this stuff is just Hillary Clinton's opposition research. None of it is real intelligence. And they all knew it all along, going back to 2016, before President Trump was elected. And then they the cabal engaged in a conspiracy to lie to the American public, to undermine President. They really hate, when they hate somebody, they really hate somebody, don't they? They hate President Trump. Boy, do they hate him. And I don't think they voted for him. You think they voted for him? I don't think they voted for him. I'm pretty sure. All right, John Durham yesterday on Capitol Hill talking about the nature of the so-called investigation in Crossfire Hurricane and how it was known far and wide from the highest levels in the Oval Office, the FBI director, the Attorney General, the CIA director. They all knew it was fake. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, they discussed it while having sex in the Xerox room. And they all knew it was fake. They all knew it was a lie. But they hated, remember, you can smell the Trump supporters. Was it the Trump supporters or the Republicans? I think it was you can smell the Trump supporters. These are corrupt people, corrupt individuals who did not do their duty. They're not oath keepers. They're oath breakers. The Democrats hate the oath keepers because, you know, they took an oath when they served in the military or in law enforcement. And they said, well, you know, I'm going to keep that oath because I took an oath and I take an oath seriously. But these people don't, I think it would be fair to say. John Durham talked about them yesterday, the hearing on Capitol Hill. Uh-oh.
There were investigative activities undertaken or not undertaken here, which raised real concerns about whether or not the law was followed. There appear to be persons in the FBI who were central to opening the investigation that had rather strong views concerning then-candidate Trump.
Yeah, well, they hated, and so they abused their power, their powerful positions in government, to attack someone that they personally despised and despise, and for political reasons, and that is the ultimate corruption and the ultimate violation of their oath. It is, will there be accountability? No, there won't be. I can tell you right now, with 99% certainty that there will be no accountability. No one will be held accountable. Not John Brennan, not J. Edgar Comey. Honestly, and the list goes on. And then Brennan is just a complete crook. And, why do you think I call him penitentiary face? That guy, I have very good instincts. I always have. And the moment I saw that guy, we're just from different tribes. We're from completely different tribes. And when I saw him, I wanted to go get a big stick. And then I saw him start speaking, and then I knew there was something terribly wrong with him. And then I read about him and his bragging about voting for Gus Hall, the Communist Party candidate for the presidency of the United States, and then he CIA, and then not, and then back into Obama and Obama's terrorism advisor, and then Obama makes him CIA director. I know everything is wrong here. And you just look at his face. He looks like an extra from a James Cagney movie, like White Heat, dragging his tin cup back and forth across the bars of his jail cell. Penitentiary face Brennan. That's everybody can see that, right? I think everybody can see that. If I were casting a movie and needed some penitentiary face people, I would ask him. I'd give him the day rate for a SAG, and want him to be in my prison in my prison movie. Cori Bush is a radical left-wing, racist Democrat member of Congress, and she's kind of in league with Colin Kaepernick. She is Cori Bush, not a good person at all. She's a terrible person, and she also hates President Trump. You'll be surprised to learn they run on hate. The party really runs on hate. And it's a terrible and tragic thing. This is not what the Democrat Party used to be, but it is what it has become. Cori Bush is a Democrat from the great state of Missouri. It's tragic that they keep sending her to Washington. Yesterday, she demonstrated her craziness.
This political investigation conducted on behalf of the twice impeached, twice indicted former white supremacist in chief, Donald Trump. From the start, this entire investigation has been an attempt to undermine the findings of the Mueller investigation and distract the people of this country from Donald Trump's corruption.
They continue to misrepresent the findings or misunderstand the findings of the Mueller investigation, which determined that there was no Russian collusion between the Trump campaign or President Trump and Russian actors. And they say, well, the Russians tampered in our election. And they tampered in the 2012 election and the 2008 election and the 2004 election and the 2000 election and the 1996 election because they're communists. It's what they do. They murder people and they ruin things, okay? That's what they do. They're commies. I've been paying attention, even if Cori Bush hasn't. My friend Bill Gertz, who I used to work with when I was covering the Pentagon, Bill Gertz at the Washington Times, has a series that he does, a new episode of Victory Over Communism with Bill Gertz, now going live. Communists within the Democratic Socialists of America. That's Bernie Sanders and the gang. The largest socialist group in the country are planning a Marxist-Leninist revolution to overthrow the Constitution. And that is Bill Gertz's latest episode, Season 2, Episode 5 of Victory Over Communism, now live on the internet. And Bill's a great guy and a great reporter. And he tells the truth about the communists, China, North Korea, and the so-called democratic socialists in the United States. You know that Vladimir Lenin said the goal of socialism is communism, right? That's the whole purpose of socialism is communism. So we got that going for us. Just amazing. Now let's go to. We got more stuff, don't we? Do you have the Matt Gaetz? Do you have the Matt Gaetz thing? Matt Gaetz yesterday at the Durham hearing. Matt Gaetz is a lot of fun. He appears on my Newsmax show. He has a number of times and will again. And he's a fun guy. He's just funny. He's always smiling. He's happy. He's always got a joke to tell. And he's having a good time being a member of Congress and, telling the truth. He likes to, even when it's not popular. Matt Gaetz, Congressman, Republican, Florida, yesterday in the Durham hearing.
You've given us testimony today that you're disappointed that the FBI didn't cooperate more, right? That was your testimony.
Said that.
Yeah, so we're disappointed too, but the difference is when regular folks do things that are wrong and unlawful, there's typically greater effort to try to get those people before a grand jury to utilize criminal process where appropriate, not for other purposes. And it's just like, oh, well, Bill Priestep, the guy who might have set this whole op in motion, he just didn't want to talk to you about certain things, and you were real accommodating to that. And then Mifsud, the person who juices Papadopoulos to create this predicate that you find improper. You guys, I mean, did you ever know who his lawyer was, Mifsud's lawyer?
Talked to his lawyer in Europe. I don't know if
so you could find the guy's lawyer, but you couldn't find him?
Matt Gaetz taking it to John Durham. Why didn't you subpoena Hillary Clinton? Why didn't you subpoena J. Edgar Comey? Why didn't you subpoena Peter Strzok and Lisa Page? And why didn't you go after this Bill Priestap guy, the Justice Department, FBI? There are all these crooks in there. And the Durham report, I think, has great value, but it didn't go far enough. And it only took 4 years. Right? And still you didn't get all the people involved in this because it was a big cabal. It was a large cabal. And Matt Gaetz was taking it to him yesterday, and I want to give Matt Gaetz credit for doing that as well.
And then now you're sitting here in front of the judiciary saying you could find the guy's lawyer, but you couldn't effectuate the service of a subpoena because you couldn't find him?
Well,
do you know how
first of all,
silly that sounds?
as you may or may not know, we wouldn't have the authority to serve a subpoena overseas. The lawyer didn't know where Mifsud was. He was in communication with him, but he claimed not to know where he was. And we were trying to arrange an opportunity to talk to Mifsud.
Mifsud, and, an opportunity. But, and there are perhaps some limitations, but if it were me, and I think a lot of other people, perhaps it would have been a much more aggressive investigation and would have gone after a number of the actors. And he as Jim Jordan established with John Durham, if John Brennan, the CIA director, was involved in arguably, certainly a conspiracy involving the FBI director at the time, James Comey, a.k.a. J. Edgar Comey, and President Obama was briefed on all of this, dragging all those people in and getting them under oath would have been great. Now, at the same time, you could say after 4 years of this, you could say, okay, he's laid all this out, and now he's done it under oath on camera before a House committee. Now the Congress can subpoena these people and get them, Durham investigation wouldn't have put them on camera and released it all. But now Congress can call them up, now that they have the Durham report, and put the people under oath before congressional committees. They'll fight it for years in court, and this is why they want to pack the Supreme Court, because they want a crooked court. They want a court that's as crooked as they are. Matt Gaetz with the John Durham, the special counsel, and it was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Do you want the Troy Nels and Yum Yum?
Well, it was kind of a fun moment in yesterday's hearing, wasn't it? Troy Nels, Congressman Troy Nels, having a little fun. He likes to make fun of Eric Swalwell, who had a Democrat congressman in California, who had a long-term sexual relationship with a Chinese secret agent, a spy, who recruited him and moved him from a city council seat in California to the House Intelligence Committee in Washington.
We are aware of the member of this committee having an alleged affair with a Chinese spy, I refer to as Yum Yum, but this is a new low for anyone, and I would hope Mr. Swalwell would agree with me. Imagine if somebody would have said and taken it a step further, Mr. Swalwell was peeing on Yum Yum.
Time of the gentleman.
It's unacceptable. This has got to stop. The FBI needs to...
Time of the gentleman has expired.
I yield back.
The gentleman...
Mr. Chairman, I ask that the last comments be stricken.
Yeah, of course you do. Referred to as Yum Yum. Her name is Fang Fang, but, the relationship that Eric Swalwell had with the Chinese spy, Fang Fang, he calls her Yum Yum. It's kind of fun. And it's not the first time. He calls her Yum Yum all the time. And he goes after Eric Swalwell all the time. And he should, Troy Nels, Republican congressman, because he was having sex with a hottie honeypot Chinese spy that they sent over to recruit him. And it went on for years. Not a problem when you're a Democrat. Hey, breaking news for all my fellow Americans. Joe Biden's dangerous plan to force all of us into a digital dollar goes live in a matter of days now. No matter what they tell you, this is not something that's going to help you or me or anybody else. If you don't take action today, it might end up being too late. The Federal Reserve is being deployed in phases, with the initial launch taking place July 1st of 2023, days away. It's called Fed Now, and a whole lot of Americans are going to be taken completely off guard. Everything that you've worked for is at stake, but there is a way for Americans to legally opt out of the digital dollar before it's too late. Start by calling my friends at American Alternative Assets. They are my friends, and they are great. To get your free wealth protection guide, this guide will educate you on how you can protect yourself from the failing dollar and volatile stock market with gold and silver IRAs. Call 888, the number 4, Gold 20. Call 888-446-5360. Don't let Biden force you into the government's new digital dollar. Call 888, the number 4, Gold 20, 888-446-5360. Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah. I like, the yum yum thing is a little funny. And he keeps drawing attention to it, which is more than the Republicans are doing. Now, there's some talk of impeaching Joe Biden as well. That's coming up. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. Have you seen the video of a Democrat in New York going into a Walgreens with a torch? He's got one of those, like a 1-liter bottle of propane, like a blue metal canister of propane with a torch on it, the kind you might use for a variety of projects, work projects, electronics and things. And it's got a torch on it. And he went in with the torch to the Walgreens, and he used it to melt all the plastic around the locks because they locked everything up behind the plexiglass with the silver metal key locks. So he went in with a torch, a flame, and he melted the plastic around to break through the plastic of the locks. And he loaded up his backpack. He's wearing a black hoodie, and there's videotape of him from a couple of angles. And he's robbing the store. And let me just say, the Democratic Party has made that normal. They've made that normal because they're third-worlding the country at a record rate of speed, turning our country into a third-world hellhole, which is what the left does everywhere they go. Okay. A lot going on in Crazy Town, Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. I think we have more crazy people than usual in Washington. I'd like to go back to the telephones. I know there are a lot of people want to talk about a lot of things, and I really need 6 hours a day, I think. 3 is not enough. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. We have any update on the submarine? I don't think we're going to have an update on the submarine for a long, long time. Long, long time. Going to see the Titanic. To get the full Titanic experience, really, you have to be stranded at the bottom and be left there forever. And that appears to be what has happened there. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Larry calling from Charleston, South Carolina. Larry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, I am so happy to be able to speak with you, sir. And let me get right away to the issue. and that is this House Resolution 57 to impeach Biden now. And I want to encourage you to implore your listeners. I think you have, I don't know, do you have a million?
250 million people, 2.5 billion on a good day.
Okay. Well, I bet it's getting close to a million any day. So you should encourage these people, urge them, implore them to write a letter to their congressman and their senator to inform them if they don't vote to impeach Biden before the next election, they won't vote for them. Whatever else happens, that you get voted out if you don't impeach Biden now.
Well, there is, that's being discussed on Capitol Hill even as we speak right here. That is something that has come up, and there are certain members, Republican members of Congress, that are eager to introduce articles of impeachment against President Trump and to do it now. You're aware of that, right, Larry? Because it's been kicked around for a couple of days, and there was a little bit of a food fight on the House floor yesterday about this. And I've got a thing or two for you on it, as a matter of fact. Now, are you aware, Larry, that the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, is advising tapping the brakes and allowing the House Oversight Committee to investigate, accumulate, collect all of the evidence, and then move toward the next phase, which would be impeachment. But there are others that are more eager to move it along, right?
Which is all why the effort must be made. And it's not just you telling your listeners to do this. It's to set up, for example, an opportunity to them to send to the Chris Plant store to get a packet of postcards. I will vote for you if you don't impeach now, and to send them a packet of 10 or 20, maybe once every 2 weeks. They should get one of these postcards from the people in their areas, assuring them that you'll vote them out.
Well, it's an interesting and fun idea. Have impeach now postcards to send to your members of Congress is kind of a fun idea, I've got to say. Listen, Larry, there are a lot of moving parts here. There are. And right now, the latest, I can tell you just in the last hour or so, Larry, the latest is that the Republicans plan to bypass, that is, to not take up the Biden impeachment vote. That is the latest coming off of Capitol Hill, and it's fairly brand new. There was a bit of back and forth yesterday. The Senate Republicans question Lauren Boebert's push for Biden impeachment. This was the story last night. And even early this morning. Senate GOP questions Boebert's push for Biden impeachment. Senate Republicans are questioning the push by House conservatives to impeach President Biden and other administration officials, arguing the moves are a waste of time and futile efforts. Resistance is futile. That likely lack an impeachable offense. Representative Lauren Boebert, the Republican from Colorado, surprised even her own GOP colleagues when she filed a privileged motion that would force a vote on a resolution to impeach Biden. Conservatives have also been pushing to impeach figures including Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas and FBI Director Christopher Wray, who is a crook of the First Order. I think Alejandro Mayorkas is inept, incompetent, and corrupt. I've got to say that, and he should be thrown out. There's no doubt about that. Attorney General Merrick Garland as well, and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican from Georgia, said she is converting the articles of impeachment that she has filed against top officials into privileged resolutions to use, quote, when I feel it's necessary. So the moves, however, making many Republicans uneasy. You know how sometimes they can become uneasy. And Senator Cornyn, John Cornyn, the Republican from Texas, said, I know people are angry. I'm angry at the Biden administration for their policies at the border and the whole host of other things. But I think we also need to look at what's achievable, he said. This is, the Senate always moves more slowly. And he said, and with a Democratic majority in the Senate, I don't think it's achievable. Well, I tell you what, you could still have him impeached in the House of Representatives, and that is fine. If I recall, President Trump was impeached in the House, and I don't know. But let's get to what, since you brought it up, Larry, I want to play what the Speaker of the House said, Kevin McCarthy, when he was asked about this yesterday, because he was asked about it, and there are a lot of, there's a lot of talk, I'll say. I don't want to say heated rhetoric, but it should be an emotional issue. We've got a corrupt president and a corrupt first family, and Joe Biden is taking millions of dollars from overseas. Joe Biden is big guy, and the laptop we know and the emails, and Tony Bobulinski is CEO of one of the Biden family's many corporations, even though they're not in any particular business. They've got a whole bunch of shell companies, LLCs, and so on. Tony Bobulinski has testified before Congress, has spoken to the FBI, and they swept it under the rug. They said they'd get back to him in 2 weeks. 2 years later, they'd never gotten back to him. He told of all the Biden family corruption. They're doing a great job of doing nothing at the FBI. But we know that millions of dollars came from Ukraine. We know millions of dollars came from, and they have the bank receipts. They have the bank transfers, the House Oversight Committee does. And our news media doesn't care because, they're not journalists, they're fluffers. And it's an extraordinary time. Now, here is what the Speaker of the House said, Kevin McCarthy, yesterday when he was asked about it. He said, wait a minute, slow down, tap the brakes. We want to collect all the evidence and have our act together before we go for the next logical step, which is the impeachment of the President of the United States.
That's why I don't want to do anything that harms the investigation we're going through right now. And I think to prematurely bring something up like that, to have no background in it, it undercuts what we're doing in Comer's committee. We're finding something new every single day, what we're doing in Jim Jordan's committee as well. Look, this is probably one of the most important things members of Congress has a right to do, and to take it in a flippant way, to just put something privileged on the floor like that. We're going to censure Adam Schiff for taking us through impeachment and lying to the American public, and we want to turn around the next day and do this.
And so we're going to censor Adam Schiff. He always calls him Adam Schiff. And he said it's something, the most serious thing that members of Congress has to do. Should be have to do. Not very articulate. But he is saying, let's tap the brakes. Let's not just, jump in every member of Congress, throw in using a loophole to get an article of impeachment introduced. He is, as Speaker of the House and leader of the Republicans in the House of Representatives, saying we've got a process that is ongoing that seems to go on forever and ever and ever and ever in every instance. But he's saying we're collecting the evidence. Let's get our act together. Make a cogent case as a party, as the majority party in the House of Representatives, and then let's introduce articles, plural, of impeachment against the president and present them in a cohesive and cogent fashion. Now, I just said that a lot better than he did, but that's what he's trying to say, so I'll just fill in the blanks for him.
This is probably one of the most important things members of Congress has a right to do.
Members of Congress has a right to do. One of the most important things. All right, he's not the most articulate man in the world. Let's be honest. Okay. Now, as for the Democrats, and we've still got a lot more to get to as well. Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much. And I like your idea. I do like your idea. Now, the nation's report card. Have you seen the nation's report card? We're not doing well. Boy, are we not doing well at all. It's terrible what's going on in the United States when it comes to the education system. Can we still call it an education system, given the state that we are in? Because it's pretty awful. And the New York Times even has a story today. Believe it or not, the New York Times has a story on how terrible the education system has become. And let me just explain why this is happening. It's the Democrats, you see. It's the Democrats, and that's what's happened. They've destroyed the educational system. They have an indoctrination system and a lot of transgenderism and a lot of craziness. But the New York Times has a story. America's population. Oh, that's actually a different one. But this is a fun one too. America's population is growing older than ever, with a record high median age of 38.9 years. In 1980, the median age in the United States was 30 years of age, and now it's 38.9. Might as well go ahead and say 39 years old, and that's close to 40 years old. But in 1980, which is some time ago now, the median age in the United States was 30 years of age. That's pretty amazing. Yes, it is. And it's gosh, that's a lot of fun. Now my education system stories are failing on me here. They're not working for me, but I'll get back to that. Let's go. There's another crazy story also out of Mississippi, where a naval base has had so much violent crime outside of their base, so much gunfire, just bullets flying around all over the place, that they have lined up and stacked up containers, shipping containers made of steel, because of the random bullets flying onto the naval base. And that is pretty crazy. That is a pretty crazy thing, because the Democrats have guns, and they shouldn't be allowed to have guns, and they go around shooting them all the time, whereas I own firearms, but mine are lazy. They just lay around and don't go out and shoot anybody. The Democrats are violent. Is it fair to say that they're a violent party? Because I think that's fair enough. There it is. There's so much gun violence, one Mississippi neighborhood, that a military base piled up shipping containers to defend itself from stray bullets. Navy base in Mississippi, a wall of shipping containers. Stray bullets so commonplace. They want to protect their kids and their homes and themselves. Mississippi military base, small city of Gulfport, Mississippi, put up a wall of shipping containers after stray bullets from nearby gunfights struck homes on the base. The base first placed more than 20 shipping containers around its perimeter last year after gunfire broke out in an apartment complex across the street, striking multiple homes on the base. The apartment complex was populated by Democrats. Captain Jeff Powell told the outlet that the base took prudent measures to ensure the safety and most secure environment possible for residents inside the base. And that's because Democrats. That's the thing. They go around shooting everybody all the time. All right, we've got more, because there was another hearing on Capitol Hill that I want to get to. And Riley Gaines was there. Riley Gaines is wonderful. She's the college swimmer who had to swim against the man who went by the name Leah Thomas, but was just a man, a complete man, all man. Where does that begin?
It starts at 11.
Number 11. Let's go to soundbite number 11, because that was some pretty crazy stuff. Riley Gaines yesterday talking about what she experienced. She was very emotional, very upset, very public setting, very intimidating.
The NCAA forced me and my female swimmers to share a locker room with Thomas, a 6'4", 22-year-old male equipped with and exposing male genitalia. Let me be clear about this. We were not forewarned we would be sharing a locker room. No one asked for our consent, and we did not give our consent.
And, she's talking about how he's flapping all over the place, and the guy, and he's a man, and they're saying, well, just compete against him, and when he wins, just shut up. And all the women on the team in Pennsylvania, they were all silenced. And Senator John Kennedy, the Democrats had a witness there whose name is Kelly Robinson, a woman. Yeah, with the Human Rights Campaign, they have that yellow equal sign on the blue background, and they push transgender stuff anyway. And it's a woman, apparently, Kelly Robinson. Oh, that's the name of Robert Culp in I Spy was Kelly Robinson. But pay no attention. Senator John Kennedy with Human Rights Campaign, Kelly Robinson.
You don't believe that a biological male has a physical advantage in sports over a biological female?
Not as a definitive statement.
You don't think men have an advantage over women? I've stopped using biological male and biological female. It's male and female. It's not biological man, it's man. It's not biological woman, it's woman, because biological is redundant and repetitive and unnecessarily duplicative. Senator Kennedy with Kelly Robinson.
How many female members of the NBA do you see?
Well, I can say that, there's been this news article about men that think that they could beat Serena Williams in tennis, right? That they think that they could actually score a point on her. And it's just not the case. She is stronger than that.
What's your experience, Ben? Male, female?
Both Serena and Venus lost to the 203rd ranked male tennis player, which they're phenoms for women.
Yeah, Riley Gaines straightened her out on that. Lickety split. You may remember that both Serena and her sister, the Williams sisters, who are really the greatest female tennis players probably of all time, they said, we'd beat any man who's not ranked in the top 200. And the man who was ranked number 203 said, I'll take you up on that. And he mopped the floor with them, made them look like children on the court. And they, to their credit, they were shocked and said that they couldn't believe that they had their hats handed to them like that. Everything the Democrats are peddling is a lie. And a biological woman is a woman. A biological man is a man. Can't we just leave it at that?
You're listening to The Chris Plant Show.
Well, I have an update for you on the submersible, the mini sub, that went down to look at the wreckage of the Titanic. According to the United States Coast Guard, a debris field has been discovered within the search area by a remotely operated vehicle. They call them ROVs. We got another acronym, another abbreviation, ROVs. And that may be underwater because the ROVs can be another submarine, unmanned mini sub taking a look. Also could be aerial, could be on the surface. But the Coast Guard says that they have located a debris field. And now, look, sometimes there's debris in the ocean, but in the search area, which for some reason they say is the size of Connecticut. Did you see also the son of the British billionaire who is aboard the submersible? I think he's a stepson. He's all over the internet trying to pick up girls. And he's like, hey, my stepfather's name is in the news. Hey, good looking, we'll be back to pick you up later. He thinks there might be a date in it for him. But it's a crazy world out there. Yeah. So debris field spotted, and that is the first development, really. More tomorrow.